You've been deceived, not by a person, by an entire system. Right now, half of you are one unexpected bill away from financial collapse. And here is the part that should make you furious. It is not because you're lazy. It is because everything you were taught about money was designed to keep you exactly where you are. Think about the last time you stood in a grocery store aisle, staring at 2 boxes of cereal. Brand name or generic, the $2 difference shouldn't matter, but it does. That micro decision, that tiny stress spiral, that is not about cereal. Now, here is the part that should terrify you. Half of adults say money is their number one source of stress. Not their health, not their relationships, just money. And when your nervous system links money with fear, guilt, or shame, your brain will sabotage every attempt you make to build wealth. It is not conscious, but here is the truth they've been hiding from you. Money isn't good or bad. It is just a hammer. You can build a house with it or smash a window. The hammer doesn't care. It amplifies who you already are. If you're generous, money lets you be more generous. So why do some people seem to make money multiply effortlessly while you're grinding yourself into dust? It is not luck. It is not genetics. It is not some secret stock tip or crypto scheme. It is 3 fundamental shifts in how they see and use money. $10 a day disappears into $300 every month. That is $3,600 bleeding out of your account every single year. Now, here is where it gets brutal. If you had redirected that same money into something earning a modest 7% return, you'd be sitting on $55,000 in 10 years. Not from working harder, not from some genius investment strategy. But here is the part that really stings. You probably know someone who works fewer hours than you and somehow has more money. They're not smarter. They're not lucky. They just stop playing the hours for dollars game because there is a hard ceiling on that strategy. And you hit it faster than you think. Let's say you're grinding at $30 an hour. Even if you work every single hour, you're awake. You can't break through that 24-hour wall. I've watched people stack 50-hour weeks, sacrifice their weekends, snap at their families because they're exhausted, and still end up broke. They think the answer is more hours, but the math doesn't care how tired you are. Now compare that to someone who caps their work at 40 hours, but puts $500 a month into an index fund. Same 7% return in 30 years, that is $600,000. The person grinding 50-hour weeks, they're burned out with nothing to show for it. The person who valued their time, they bought their freedom back. This is where your brain needs to flip the question. Stop asking, how can I work more hours? Start asking, how can I earn while I'm not working? Because the moment you treat time as your most valuable asset, your spending behavior changes completely. You'll drop $200 on a tool that saves you 10 hours without blinking. But you won't waste $200 on something that makes you look successful while stealing your future. The difference isn't in the dollar amount. It is in what that dollar buys you. One purchase gives you time back. The other costs you time. You'll never recover. And here is the kicker. Most people are making the wrong choice every single day without realizing it. So, here is your micro shift for today. Find $50 in your monthly spending that you won't miss. That streaming service you haven't opened in months. That delivery habit that is costing you more than cooking. Redirect it, not into some complicated investment scheme. Just move it somewhere it can't leak out. Savings, debt payoff, anything that tells your brain I control this. It doesn't control me. Because the moment you prove to yourself that you can keep money, instead of letting it slip away, something shifts. You stop being the person who panics at 3 a.m., doing survival math. You start being the person who builds. Let's run the math they hope you'll never do. You work an extra 10 hours this month for $200 after tax. You buy something that feels like progress, new shoes, a gadget, dinner out. It is gone. The value evaporated the second you swiped. Meanwhile, someone else took that same $200, bought a skill, a course, a certification, and now they're earning $5 more per hour forever. That is $10,000 extra per year. Same starting cash, completely different ownership structure. You don't own the shoes. You don't own the car. You don't even own the overtime hours because they're already spent before you earn them. What you own is whatever compounds without you touching it, and that is the line. Rich people buy things that pay them back. You're being trained to buy things that cost you twice. Once, when you buy it. Again, when it loses value while you're still working to replace it. Here is the trap in action. Person finances a $40,000 car feels like success. 5 years later, they're still making payments on something worth $18,000. And they're locked into the same job because they can't afford to quit. Person B takes that same $40,000 over time, breaks it into $500 chunks, and builds a skill stack. Certifications, training, side projects. 5 years later, person B has leverage. They can negotiate. You've done this. You've told yourself you can't afford the $20 book, the $50 workshop, or the $200 course. Then, you spent $60 on delivery this week without thinking twice. That is not a budget problem. That is an ownership problem. Imagine someone who is drowning, debt piling up, rent barely covered, no path out. They didn't wait for a miracle. They started treating learning like a bill they couldn't skip. Free videos, $10 books, a $29 course. Not because they had extra money, because they realized staying stuck was more expensive than investing $29. 2 years later, debt gone, emergency fund started, monthly investments running. They're not rich, but they own their time now. They're not trapped anymore. And here is the question nobody's asking you. How much are you paying to stay exactly where you are? Because that is the real cost, not the $200 you spend on training. The $200,000 you don't earn over the next decade because you never upgraded. That is the wealth transfer. That is who is getting harvested. A $200 pair of sneakers loses half its value the second you walk out the store. A $200 course that raises your rate by even $1 per hour pays you back in 200 hours. That is 5 weeks. Then, it keeps paying forever. So when you say you can't afford to invest in yourself, what you're really saying is you can't afford to stop funding the system. The system that keeps you small. The danger isn't spending too much on yourself. The danger is spending nothing while everything else drains you dry. And the people who figured this out aren't special. They just stopped playing the game where effort disappears and started playing the one where effort compounds. That shift, that is the line between who builds wealth and who funds it for someone else. Here is the math that separates the two paths. You drop $200 on sneakers. The second you lace them up and step outside, they're worth half, maybe less. Now, take that same $200 and put it into a skill course. That bumps your hourly rate by just $1. That is $2,000 more every single year, not once, every year. The sneakers depreciate, the skill compounds, the ROI isn't even in the same universe. So here is the move, not a strategy, not a plan, just a move. Pick one self-investment this month. Could be a fitness routine you've been dodging. Could be a course that teaches you something your job actually pays for. Could be joining a group where people are one step ahead of you. Commit to it like it is rent, non-negotiable. The wealthy don't treat self-investment as optional. They budget for it first, the same way you budget for your phone bill. Now zoom out and watch what happens when two people start at the same place. Both making $50,000 in their 20s. Both have the same hours in the day. The average person treats money like a stress trigger. They overspend when they feel good, carry balances when they feel bad, and promise themselves they'll start saving next year. Next year never comes. The disciplined person sees money differently. It is a lever. They save first, pay cards in full, and cap their costs before they spiral. At first, the gap is invisible. By 30, the average person has maybe $2,000 saved, a couple of high-interest credit cards quietly bleeding them, and no real investments. The disciplined person, saving 15% from day one, already has $40,000 sitting in index funds, quietly building. By 40, the average is still paycheck to paycheck. One bad car repair away from full panic mode. They've earned hundreds of thousands over the years, but almost nothing stuck. The disciplined person's net worth is pushing 6 figures. They've got 3 to 6 months of runway and an investment account that is throwing off dividends while they sleep. By 50, the average is burned out, still trading hours for money, still behind on retirement, still stuck. The disciplined person can see the end of the game. They've built enough cushion that work becomes optional, not mandatory. They can walk away from a bad job or take a year off without fear. That is the delta. Same starting income, same hours, but one life path stays locked in survival mode. The other buys freedom, options, and peace of mind. The biggest secret the wealthy know isn't hidden in some exclusive playbook. It is mindset, it is identity, it is deciding to see money as a lever, to guard your time like it is the rarest asset you'll ever own, and to keep building yourself into someone more valuable every single year. Remember that friend I mentioned? They didn't get lucky. They didn't suddenly make six figures. They shifted who they were. They stopped saying, "I'm broke and stuck," and started acting like someone who invests in themselves. That small identity shift unlocked their freedom. Here is your mechanical action tonight. Before you sleep, open your banking app. Look at your last 10 transactions. Find one purchase that depreciated the second you bought it. Screenshot it. That is your before picture. Then, pick one self-investment for this month and schedule the payment right now, not tomorrow. Right now, that is your after picture. You just became someone who invests in assets that grow instead of things that shrink. That is the break from the old pattern, and that single move rewires everything and manages money on purpose. And that is the same opportunity in front of you. You don't need a lottery win or a new job title. You just need one decision today. Move $50 into savings, cancel a bill you don't use, or finally, buy the book you've been putting off. That single act rewires your identity from survival mode to builder mode. Imagine the difference. No more 3 a.m. math. No more panic at the mechanic when your car needs $800 in repairs. That is what a disciplined person feels like. The median American has less than $1,000 in savings. Build just a $5,000 emergency fund and you're already in the top half.